I call this February 1st Oconee County School Board meeting to order. First order of business is we need to approve the agenda and we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Ransom?
Oh, right here.
Second.
Oh.
Second, Ms. Parrish. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we have our superintendent's report. Dr. Branch.
Thank you, board members. I wanted to share that there's a lot of good things going on in our school system right now. We just completed our 109th day of school. So amazingly, we only have about 70 days of school left. So lots of things going on. This week is National School Counseling Week. And so we want to thank our hardworking counselors out there. And again, thank the board for your support of expanding those counselors to add the 2 social emotional counselors that we added at the high school this year. That's been very well received, and you've heard the documented work they're doing. Many good things going on. We had North Oconee just had the Region 1 Act play competition. Oconee County High Schools, I believe, is coming up, maybe even this week, but North took runner-up in that competition, and lots of good awards there. Also, we had the state dual wrestling tournament. There's individuals as well as duels, and North Oconee took third place in the 4A state duels competition. So congratulations to those coaches and students. Want to congratulate Coach Al Yock, who's the wrestling coach at Oconee County High School, achieved his 300th win in the last several days here. And so congratulations, lots of longevity and hard work to get to that point. Things that are going on currently in terms of winter sports activities, we have competition dance teams that are competing. The chorus is providing concerts, swimming, basketball, wrestling, cheerleading are all having great years and are participating. If you follow social media, then you see many of the events that those are taking place. At the same time, we're kind of in that year where we are finishing winter and heading into spring, and so lots of activity on our campuses right now. Spring sports have started. So we have baseball, golf, gymnastics, lacrosse, slow pitch, softball, soccer, tennis, and track and field. So we always laugh that the school never sleeps, and if you drive by during this time of the year, you're certainly going to see that as well. And we're real proud of that. We're proud for those kids to be having those opportunities and to be engaged, and for those community members to be able to take part in that as well. Last piece I have is some really good news from our communications division. I want to congratulate Anissa. Just recently, the Georgia School Public Relations Association had their annual meetings and did some awards, and the annual report that you guys know we've been doing for quite some time was recognized as the best annual report in the state of Georgia for this year. So great job with that. Also several other awards, annual report, special purpose publication on the school level communication audits, and also social media. All won what's called Gold Awards. Our newsletters that go out monthly won the Silver Award, and the videography for Malcolm Bridge Middle School's math won a Bronze Award. So lots of good awards there, celebrating the fine work that communications is doing. So that concludes Superintendent's report, unless there are questions.
Any questions? If not, next we have presentations and discussions. First up, teaching and learning. Dr. Claire Buck, welcome.
Thank you and good evening.
The February Teaching and Learning Report contains 2 items of information and 1 action item for the February 8th Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is an update on the learning models for second semester. As you recall, we provided all families the opportunity to select their learning model, either in person or distance learning. At this time, our elementary, for third quarter, we have 6.5% of students participating in distance learning. And at the secondary level, we have 8.5% participating in distance learning. For an overall 7.6% of our students are participating in distance learning. It is time to open the selection window for the 4th quarter, or the 4th 9 weeks. And we will open the selection window on February 8th for elementary school students' families to make the selection of either in-person or distance learning. The window will be open from February 8th through February 19th. The end of our third quarter is March 5th, and beginning of the 4th quarter is March the 8th. The second item of information is the FY21 Special Education LEA District Determination. The Individuals with Disability Act requires that state agencies review data to make district determinations on meeting the requirements that are set forth in IDEA. And after a review of the data, they are either given the report of meets requirements, needs assistance, or needs intervention. And I'm very proud to report to you that Oconee County Schools received their district designation 100% meeting requirements. And I want to commend Suzanne Korngold for her leadership in that area. The action item for the February board meeting, February 8th board meeting, is a data core switch. We posted a request for a proposal on December 7th and closed on January 5th, 2021. This new core switch will replace the previous end-of-life models, and the superintendent's recommendation is for the Board of Education to approve purchasing the core switch in the amount of $31,053.65 at the February 8th Board of Education meeting. Cirrus was selected as the best provider based on the qualifications, references, meeting the needs of the RFP, and the price. They were actually the only one that met the requirements in the RFP. And this will be paid for using both ELOST and E-rate funds. And that concludes the teaching and learning report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Buck. Next is operations, Mr. Brock Toole.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The Oconee County Schools Operation Division February Board of Education report contains 3 items of information and no action items for the February 8, 2021 Board of Education meeting. Our first item of information is our energy report. As you can see, December energy report shows an on-trend increase in usage over November. I'd like to commend Mr. Steve Brownbaugh and his team for taking good care of our energy. The second item of information is our January lead custodian meeting. The January lead custodian meeting was held January 14th and was hosted by the team at Collin Ferry Elementary School. Our custodial teams are to be commended for the rigorous work ensuring that our schools are clean for health. And third is our bus ridership. Our bus ridership, I'd like to say, is down 21.45% from last year. And Mr. Peterson and his team in transportation continues to track that, and they're doing an outstanding job. Are there any questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Jim.
Rob, in
have you seen, has there been any change in this ridership from the beginning of school to now? Have we seen, or has it been pretty constant in terms of that percent the whole school year so far? Have you seen that fluctuate since the beginning of school?
It's fluctuated, Mr. Tim, and like right now being at 21:45. I've seen it, I think the highest was 32, 31 and some change, so it's continually decreased and decreased and decreased to where we're at now, 21:45.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
and you may not have this answer, sports and extracurricular activities.
Yes, ma'am.
When you go out of town, are we having to take more buses because of social distancing?
It depends on the sport, but what we do is we use the same. We have diagrams and schematic where we spread people out. So if there's too many folks, we'll take an additional bus.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Next, we have Student Services, Mr. Dallas LaDuff.
Good evening, Dr. Branch, members of the board. Student Services February report contains 4 items of information and 0 action items for the February 8th Board of Education meeting. The first item of information is our school nutrition participation. Happy to report that we are up 2.5% when compared to last January. The second item of information is school choice. As you all know, our school choice window is now closed. We received 100 requests this year. The letters of approval were mailed last week, and also glad to report that we were able to approve all 100 requests to go to various schools. The third item of information is our COVID-19 update. We continue to have constant communication with the Department of Public Health as well as our school leaders, and also wanted to let the board know that we were able to purchase 50,000 disposable masks. A portion of those masks were delivered to all schools last week, and we also have some in storage to deploy later on in the semester if and when a need arises. The fourth item of information is our graduation. Right now, we are planning to hold our graduation ceremonies in our high school stadiums. Oconee County High School will be May 21st at 7:45 p.m. with the rain date of May 23rd at 7:45 p.m. North Oconee High School will be May 22nd at 7:45 p.m. with a rain date of May 24th at 7:45 p.m. And that concludes the student services report unless there are any questions. Yes, sir.
Dallas, 100 requests on school choice.
Yes, sir.
Just out of memory, that seems like more than we've had in previous years. Is that true? And if so, was there anything in these that struck you as why there might be more this time than we've seen before?
We've gotten some requests from some folks who aren't yet enrolled, so that's one thing. We've also got a number of requests from folks who aren't really requesting to leave schools, but anticipating a move and really requesting to stay where they are.
Oh, so some people were actually going to be moving to another location.
Yes,
But
sir.
they wanted to stay in the school instead of moving to the, okay.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So it's kind of, some of them were both ways, some of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One comment. Good move on the high school graduations. That's a good plan. And, we've talked about what we would do and how we would do this. And I think I came away from the experience last year in the high schools that we finally did late in the summer as a good compromise. And so I'm glad to see that you're moving forward with going ahead and planning it there, given the uncertainty of what we're likely to be dealing with the stigma and how quickly it could be like in May. So I think that'll be a lot of fun and a good change. And so good move.
Yes, sir, and I'd like to commend the high school principals and their staffs. They were really thoughtful in planning all these things out, even to the point of looking at what time the sun was going to set. So that sun will be going down while we're having that ceremony, and
So
make
this
it real
is
special
this
for
is
the
right
kids.
after this 7:45 is at that time of year is the time when the sun's down, but it just gone down some.
It'll be down completely at 8:30, so the students will start to process at 7:45. So you're looking at the ceremony to actually start around 8 or so, and then it'll be going down while the ceremony's going on.
What are you gonna do if the kids all love it so much they wanna keep doing this all the time now?
I guess that's certainly something we can consider.
Good move. I mean,
Thank you.
I think it'll be a great evening for both of them.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can I ask my question? It was about the student transfers.
Yes, sir.
I had one about that, just, is it, and I don't think it matters based on what he said, but elementary, middle, high, do you see more at one grade level, or?
No, actually, we don't. It's pretty even throughout, and you know, some people want to go to North Oak County, about the same number want to go to Oak County, so it ends up balancing out pretty well for us and working well from a scheduling standpoint, I think, to get it done this early where they can plan for it as they're going to start registration soon.
One other question on that. You said we were able to honor all requests, so I assume nobody asked to go to the middle school that's over capacity?
That's correct.
Okay, cool.
Anyone else?
Just one point of clarification or
Yes, sir.
commendation, if I may. I want to commend Dallas. The number is up a little bit, as he said. And one of the things that we've learned as we've gone through this process is that when we first started school choice, we were not allowing, if you were a new student coming in, you had to attend the area in which you were zoned for, because we didn't believe we could accommodate that. And through his work with parents and community members, we've seen that we can accommodate that. So if you're coming in as a kindergartner and it makes more sense for you and your family to be at a different location than what you're zoned for, we're now honoring that request. And that's all Dallas's work. So I just want to commend him on continuing to look at how we can get better in these process of serving the customers that we have and the families that we have.
Thank you.
Is it still consistent though that if you make that choice, you're responsible for the transportation, even under the circumstances you're describing where they did it right off the beginning, at the very beginning?
Yes, because we're zoned, transportation zoned for that. So if you live in Collin Ferry, but for some reason it makes sense that you want to go to Dove Creek because maybe grandmother's over there is going to provide childcare, whatever it may be, we don't run transportation to that particular location.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have communication, Ms. Anissa Jimenez.
Good evening, everyone. The Communications Board report contains 3 items of information and no action items. First, I want to mention that Dr. Branch was also the recipient of a recent award. He won the Georgia School Public Relations Association Outstanding Leadership in School Community Relations Award. This is the only award that GSPR gives every year to a non-school communicator. And so congratulations, Dr. Branch. So the first item on the regular agenda is board meeting videos. I'm sure you've all become a little bit more familiar with these microphones at each of your seat. We have one here at the podium. And with these, we are now able to better optimize audio and therefore produce a quality video production for our community. We're indeed recording. You can see my camera and tripod right back here. And board meeting videos will be posted the day following a board meeting on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OconieCOSchools. We have over 1,100 subscribers there, and we'll also link this meeting video right from the board drop-down menu on our website. So wanted to make note of that. Next, we have a presentation on eLost. And Zoe, if you'll be so kind as to drive it. Thank you. So first I'll just go over an overview of eLost. What is it? So eLost stands for Education, if you'll go to the next slide, Zoe, Education Local Option Sales Tax. It's a 1% sales tax, sometimes people call it the penny tax, and it can be used for the following school system costs: building projects, infrastructure, and technology. You'll notice that salaries is not on this list. What type of tax is eLost? It's a sales tax. It's not a property tax, and it's not a new tax. eLost has been collected in Oconee County since 1998. So first, here's a recap of ELOST 5. Here are some of the major projects that were accomplished within ELOST 5. First, one of our major highlights was the construction of our newest and state-of-the-art Dove Creek Elementary School. What a great day that was. Next, we were able to provide Chromebooks for every single student. This made Oconee County Schools a one-to-one school system. That means one device per every student. This helped us meet the needs of preparing our students for success in today's global and digital world. And having this infrastructure in place helped enable us to not even miss one day of instruction when in-person school was closed from March through May 2020. Next, we were able to purchase several new buses with air conditioning. In order to keep our fleet of buses the recommended 20 years old, we combined ELOST and general fund dollars. All of our new buses came with air conditioning, and then older buses were retrofitted with AC. Next, we added on a 20 classroom addition at Oconee County High School. After this addition, that made both OC and North Oconee have student capacities of 1,500. At both high schools, new HVAC systems were installed. This was an incredible day. Brock and I were standing out there watching helicopters help maneuver these around. And so we are really pleased that we have new HVAC at our high schools. Next, through ELOST 5, we were able to install artificial turf, track, and lighting at both North Oconee High School and Oconee County High School. Of note is that now all of our secondary schools, that is middle and high schools, have LED field lighting. And finally, there were a number of interior renovations such as painting, flooring, ceiling repairs, and lighting at Malcolm Bridge Elementary, Malcolm Bridge Middle, and Oconee County Middle. So let's take a look at system enrollment. You can see on this chart continued growth in our system. In fact, we've had 26% growth over the last 10 years. And we know that based on the most recent community survey that over 90% of residents cite our school system as the #1 reason they choose to live here. A little more on growth. We're actually the fastest growing system in Northeast Georgia with 3,500 or more students. In the last 30 or so years, we've opened 8 schools. We just opened Dove Creek Elementary in fall 2018. We added on at OC in 2018, and there were also classroom additions at Oconee County Middle School and Malcolm Bridge Middle School in 2016. So now that brings us to ELOST 6. Here are some of the projects that would be possible if ELOST 6 passes. First, construction of Dove Creek Middle School, then classroom additions to Column Ferry, High Shoals, and Malcolm Bridge Elementary School. Here are some more projects that would be possible if ELOST 6 passes. Renovations to Oconee County Primary School, Malcolm Bridge Elementary School, Oconee County Elementary School, and Rocky Branch Elementary School. And here are a few more projects that would be possible. A construction of an instructional support center. And for a bit of history, we've been in this board office since circa 1980. And for the 40 years prior, the Board of Education operated in the basement of the courthouse. And also with ELOST 6, we would be able to purchase more buses and then also to invest more in technology. This would be 85% refresh of student and staff devices, and 15% of a technology cost would be infrastructure like servers or upgrading our wireless network. You'll notice that these proposed projects impact 8 of our 11 existing schools. So if ELOST 6 passes, what does that mean? It means 6 schools would be directly touched through building projects, and then both of our middle schools would be impacted through redistricting due to the construction of Dove Creek Middle School. So that brings us to the 8 schools. Next, I want to talk a little bit about financing. So here are the benefits of selling bonds. It would provide for projects to begin immediately pending the passage of ELOST 6. It would enable the school system to take advantage of historically low interest rates and to help avoid inflation costs. Here's a timeline of communication. So tonight, you all are being presented with this information. We'll also be presenting information to schools, and they'll be able to share information out as well. This week, we will also post this information as well as our ELOST flyer on the website at oconeeschools.org/ELOST. And then we'll also be providing some social media posts leading up to the actual date that ELOST will go up for a vote, which that's on our next slide. That date is March 16th. And so if you please click on that top line, that actually goes, or it should go, it will go when we post it on the website, to the actual language of the referendum. We have a 2-page just Word document, and it really goes through the detailed language of the referendum. So when we post this, individuals can click on it here, and I'll also have a separate link where they can just click directly on the referendum as well. And then finally, here's our flyer. This is just a recap of thank you Oconee County, because ELOST supported these projects for our students. You saw these pictures and projects earlier in the presentation. And finally, on the back of the flyer are some frequently asked questions. I talked about many of these. Again, no, it will not affect property taxes. And then why are these projects being proposed? I addressed that in the growth slides. And so that brings me to the conclusion of this ELOST overview, unless there are any questions.
The nice thing about the penny tax is when people come to shop or eat in Oconee County, they may not be Oconee County residents. So we may be getting some funds from people from out of state, out of town. So that's a nice plus. Anyone have any questions, discussion?
Congratulations on the annual report. That's good recognition of hard work you've done on that, so good job.
Thank you very much. All right, if there are no further questions, my final item is our monthly recap video. Few items I'll highlight there. You saw that this week is National School Counseling Week, and we promoted all of our 19 counselors on all of our social media channels. I was really excited to do this because now we have 4 counselors at both of our high schools. In addition, you saw some chamber recognitions there. The chamber reached out and they are currently wanting to highlight education heroes. And so I'm working with each principal to highlight a different individual from their school. And so those will continue coming out on the chambers in their newsletter and on their social media as well. All right, that concludes my report unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a need to go into executive session and we need a motion.
Make a motion that the board will adjourn to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon personnel matters as described on the affidavit to be attached to the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion, Ms. Parrish, second, Mr. Ransom. All in favor?
Approve.
Passes 5-0. We'll now move into executive session.